Before I dive into this episode with Jonathan Small, I want to remind everyone, if you want to improve your marketing for your podiatry business, please consider coming along to one of my podiatry marketing masterclasses. All you do is go to my website, tysonfranklin.com, click on events, and you will see what I've got coming up. Everyone that has attended one of my events, I offer 100% money back guarantee. If you do not believe it was worth the money you spent, I will give you your money back, no questions asked. To date, nobody has ever asked for the money back, and they all say it was worth far more than what they paid. So go to my website, tysonfranklin.com, click on events, and have a look at what's coming up. Okay, now let's get on to this episode with Jonathan Small. Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends Podcast, the podcast designed to help you feel, see, and think differently about the podiatry profession. With me today, you may not have heard of this man. His name is Jonathan Small, and this is officially your 14th appearance as a solo guest on this podcast. And you've been on multiple guest ones where we've had a number of guests all at the same time, like group shows. Hey, everyone, welcome to the Jonathan Small Podcast. How you doing today, Jonathan?
That's for when you retire, Tyson. I take over when you retire.
Yeah, true. Yeah, eventually, one day, when I'm 80.
Thank you once again for having me on, Tyson. It's always good to catch up with you, but it's always nice to share any nuggets of possible wisdom with the podiatry community.
You've been on, you hold the record, but I've got Patrick McEnany from Chicago in the United States. He's coming back on again soon. It'll be his 7th appearance. Okay. I like having like a familiar name coming back, because the thing is, you're always, same as Patrick and yourself, there's always something interesting to talk about. And sometimes, you especially, a little bit controversial.
I think we're probably doing it the same again today. I think there's a little bit of controversy in there.
Yeah, there is. So let's get into it. Tell us what the topic is today.
Okay, I gave you a title of Nothing But the Tooth.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember the talk that I did at Foot and Ankle Show, your first visit over to the UK, but I actually highlighted a dental practice that called themselves Nothing But the Tooth. I talked about how they branded themselves and they had a mini sparklers club, and it was showing out what you can do with the brand of your business to make it stand out from the crowd. But I use the dental model as an analogy to podiatry quite often in the forums. I'm a strong believer that us as a profession, podiatry, we ought to be thinking of ourselves as akin to dentistry. But I take a fair bit of flack in the forums from people saying, no, we shouldn't do that because they have longer training or whatever. And I thought we'd pull that apart a little bit today as to why I think it's appropriate, and actually why I think that maybe we ought to be thinking of podiatry as more important than dentistry. And I know that in your family, the dentist. So I thought this would be a good one for us to chew the cud over.
Okay. Yeah. My brother's a dentist. I've mentioned it on the podcast just recently and numerous times over the years. And I always find it funny when you mention that podiatrists, they equate how much time someone spends in dentistry, say 5 years, compared to podiatry, which in most states of Australia is 4 years. I think it's irrelevant whether they do 4 years, 5 years. It doesn't really matter, because you have hairdressers that might do 3 years. And I know hairdressers that charge far more than some podiatrists.
Absolutely. And that thing, we're all aware that podiatry isn't long enough training for us to be that fully accomplished foot specialist. We then have to do more in order to be to feel like confident enough to be that foot specialist, because we don't have the structure that dentistry has in their training. So length of training, but for you to be a competent foot specialist is going to be 5 years anyhow. So I think that the length of time of training really has no relevance whatsoever. And you're right to say that, I think, Tyson. I have experience from at my dentist whereby I actually saw, they called them the dental associate, but I've done a bit of research this morning. It turns out that they're most likely a dental therapist, and then that's a 3-year course, and they're not as specialist level as the dentist, but they're above dental hygienists.
Okay.
And I've always said that we ought to think of, when we're doing foot care, then it's based at the level of the dental hygienist doing tooth care. Whereas if you're doing foot specialism, then it should be at the level of dentist. Podiatrists should be at that level. But for those who think that that length of training is significant and they don't want to put themselves at that level, then at least think of themselves as the dental therapist. And I was doing a little bit of research on the fees of these that they charge. And your dental hygienist in the UK, let's approximately double it for Australia. I don't know what your fees are for dental hygienists, but maybe £75 for 30 minutes work. So I would postulate that most podiatrists in the UK do not charge £70 for 30 minutes work for their foot care that they deliver. They might do for MSK, but not foot care. And then the dental therapist is £70 to £140 for 30 minutes work. So if podiatrist is at that 3-year level, the dental therapist, why are we undercharging so much for it? And then the dentist obviously is a lot more, £150 to £300. And that's where I believe we ought to be thinking of podiatry. So I've done a fair bit of looking into why aren't we at that level? What's gone wrong that means that we're not at that level? Because they're tooth specialists and we're foot specialists. And I don't see any difference from a public perception point of view of who are the specialism side of things.
Okay, so I'm going to be the devil's advocate here.
Yeah, please do.
No, I totally understand where you're going with it. But one thing I've always said between, say, podiatry, for example, one of the best things about podiatry, doesn't cost a lot of money to set up a clinic. One of the worst things about podiatry is it doesn't cost a lot of money to set up a clinic. So what's good about it can sometimes has been what I believe is a detriment to the profession, where someone can go and spend a couple of bucks and get some instruments, bit of a bag, get their instruments sterilized somewhere, and go to the back room of a massage parlor, doctor's surgery, physio clinic, throw a couple of people up on a bench, clip a few toenails, dig a corn out, send them on their way. And hey, I have a business. And you're like, you have a job. It's not really a business. Dentistry, on the other hand, is a dentist cannot do that. For a dentist to set up a clinic, they have to have a dental nurse. They have to have a receptionist at the front. So right from the day dot, and their setup of a room offhand is a lot of money to set up a dental room with the drills, the plumbing. So right from the start, there's a big commitment, which is usually why dentists don't graduate and go set up their own business at the back of a massage parlor, because it's impossible. Costs too much money. So they'll work for a few years, make money, then they reinvest it, set up a nice clinic, have to charge them out because they've got 3 people they're paying the wages for, and then they go from there. So I understand what you're saying, but there's also another side to it.
Yeah, absolutely, there is. But I think that's one of the most damaging things to our profession is that we can just set up in private practice, buying a few instruments. We don't have all the tools in the toolbox then to help our patients. We can only do the simple foot care stuff when we're trained to a much higher level. And it's really holding us back as a profession to do that. And the public then see it as a cheap thing, a massage level therapy.
It's embarrassing sometimes.
That is really damaging. I think dentists got it right in that you have to have a decent business model with all the tools in the toolbox to help the patient with whatever comes through the door and project that professionalism to it. And I think we've done a previous episode about taking over an existing good podiatry practice. I think the more we do that, the better it's going to be, because we're going to end up realizing that doing that cheap setting up is not the future for podiatry. It's going to be the thing that holds podiatry back, and has done over the decades. And don't get me wrong, I did that journey. I know it. I know what it feels like. I understand that it's the easy way in. I do get it, but it's not helping us as a profession. We need to be thinking, what does a dentist practice look like? What does their kit investment look like? Their staff investment look like? And let's make our foot clinics look like that, because that's going to serve the public so much better than the way we've been doing it all these decades.
Yeah, I've said that for years, that like the registration board, they will say that, like over here in Australia, we have APRA, which is like, they're the bullies that look after everybody, that tell us what we can and can't do. But you got your registration board, then you have APRA that enforce the rules. And if you've ever had to deal with APRA, total bunch of knobs, as far as I'm concerned. But they do serve a purpose. I do believe they need to be there. But they employ some idiots. They really do. And if there anyone from APRA is listening to this, yes, I am talking about you. And I might edit that out yet.
I thought I was the controversial one.
No, bugger it. I'm going to leave it in. And yeah, so like APRA, they're there for a reason. I believe they should be there. And they're there to supposedly protect the public. Totally get that. But how someone can set up a dodgy backroom clinic and they look at that, oh, no, but that's okay. I might say to a patient, oh, you're a tool, which I have mentioned before. And the patient was. But what is interesting about that? But then someone can set up a clinic at the back of some dodgy room.
Yeah.
And APRA's like, oh, that's all cool. That's all fine.
Yeah.
Of course, you must be sterilizing your instruments. You don't have an autoclave.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
You must have, you're seeing 20 patients a day. You must have 20 sets of instruments because we're just assuming you do.
Yeah.
There's no checks on what some of these people are doing. And I just think it's dodgy.
Yeah, absolutely. And also when they come in with something that they don't have the tools in their toolkit for, they don't necessarily refer them on because they want to hold on to the patient. When I started I started my clinic 1993. By 1996, I'd got my first laser unit, and I wrote to all the local podiatrists and say, I've got this laser unit. It's great for all sorts of problems, RUCAs and MSK and stuff. And I said, if you've got any patients you're not able to help out, please just send them over. I'll have a go at getting them sorted. I'll pass them back to you afterwards. None of the state registered chiropodist podiatrists at the time referred any patient to me. None of them. Some of the non-state registered, the ones who hadn't got the same qualification, they did refer. And it was like, hold on, you're telling me that you're fixing every single problem when you've got no specialist tools in your toolbox. You just want to hang on to the patient. How is that serving the patient? How is that a good impression to the public? And they just don't see these things.
No, I think it's about, imagine going to a doctor surgery, and I've said this before too. You go to the doctor and you go, oh, I've been coming here for 4 years. You've never taken my blood pressure. Yeah, no, I don't have that equipment. What do you mean you don't have that equipment? I can't afford it. Don't know where to put it. I just come to this back room of this dodgy place and I'm a doctor, but hey, I can write you a script for a bit of marijuana if you need it.
So we've got some reasons, I think, historically why dentistry is ahead of the game than compared to podiatry. But I think we need to work as a profession to change that. In this modern day age of AI, having gone through the internet age, we're now into the AI.
Can I just go back one step though? In case, because I'm not trying to upset people. I'm not trying to upset certain podiatrists. And I totally understand if you're providing a service out to a regional or remote area who does not have a podiatry service and can't get one, and you are packing up your car and you were driving out there and providing that service, I take my hat off to you because I think, okay, it's not the greatest setup in the world. And I've done this sort of work. I used to fly up to Weeper and work out of a motel room. So I know exactly what it's like. But I think if you're providing a service somewhere like that, then that's a good thing, even though it's not perfect, but it is a good thing. Because I've seen specialists go to like Weeper and they work out of the same motel room that I was. So we all do it that way. But when you're in a capital city or you're in a regional area where you have the chance of having a professional setup, then I think even if you can't do it right at the beginning, which I think you should, but if you can't, you should be working towards it and progressively getting better every year. So if you've been out 5 years, if you don't have a clinic set up within 5 years and you're still working out the back of dodgy rooms, you're not trying. You're not actually trying to get better.
I understand where there may be exceptions to it, but I still go with the thing, how many dentists do that sort of
thing?
They
don't. None. Zero.
If there is, then that's the comparison. That makes sense. But if there isn't, then you've got to think, is podiatry the right people to be doing it? We have foot health practitioners, and maybe that's more appropriate for them to do that, with the podiatrist being that foot specialist. Because otherwise, if we keep doing the foot care and not the foot specialism, the public perception won't change. We won't drive this profession forward to where it can be.
Yeah, that Weeper where I used to visit, which is like a mining town up in the Gulf, there was a dentist who used to visit there as well, and an optometrist. But they had a room at the hospital and they had spent money to get a dental chair. It was an old dodgy looking thing. but they did have it set up there. So they did have some sort of permanent facilities where drills and all that could actually be used.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't look as nice as the city place. But like I said, those sort of things are acceptable because the people that live in those towns, they just appreciate anybody coming up there.
So I was saying about this historical levels of dentistry compared to podiatry, and the fact that we're now in an age, the AI age, where the ability to change the world can happen nearly overnight. Okay, you don't need to wait decades to facilitate change these days. You can do ever so quickly through good communication, making use of the resources that are out there to help you, and being consistent in that approach. So the more that podiatrists let go of these mindset blocks and say we're not at the level of dentistry, the better it's going to be. And I did a talk, I'm doing it on a couple of occasions now, whereby I've said to and I think you possibly saw it when we did Work Smart Not Harder in Australia, is that if you needed to, when you came over to the UK, we were going around visiting Stonehenge.
Yes.
If you had to go and visit Stonehenge, we had to walk from the car park. Okay, so could you get from that car park to Stonehenge with no teeth? Yes, no problem at all. You could easily do it with no teeth.
You could.
Did you do it with no hair? Yes, you did it with no hair.
We both did.
Yeah? Could you do it with no feet?
If you were pushing me in a chair.
Exactly. You'd need some other assistance, wouldn't you? Yeah. Feet enable us to live our lives. Yeah. Hair doesn't enable us to live our lives. Teeth, you can cope without teeth to live your life. Feet enable us to live our life. That is massive. And we fail to appreciate that for patients. We fail to communicate that to patients, how important feet are. And the other analogy, and I may have talked about it on a podcast episode, is that if you're unfortunate enough to have cancer and be told you have to have chemotherapy, and you get told your hair might fall out, nearly everybody will accept that as a side effect to get them over the cancer. If they got told they'll lose their feet if they do the chemotherapy, would it be such an easy decision to have the chemotherapy?
I think it would save your life, yes.
Yeah, but would it be as easy a decision? Would it be as instant a decision?
Yeah, but the thing is, if you lose your hair, it will grow back. Your feet won't grow back. So it's
well, it's not
going to make life. It's going to make life inconvenient. But I think the other advantage dentists have, where I think they have sold themselves very well over the years, is the whole cosmetic side of dentistry and how appealing somebody looks when they have really nice teeth. So. Yeah, well, Jonathan,
marketed their solutions.
If you were at the pub and you met your wife, if she was sitting there and you were talking to her, and she had no feet, would you keep talking to her? Probably. If she had no teeth, I reckon you would have gone, oh, I don't know about this one. She's got no teeth. I might move on. I'm going to move on to the Welsh woman who's got teeth.
But at the same time, doesn't that show the superficiality of human nature?
It does. Yeah. And that's what I mean. That's why I think dentistry has sold dentistry. It's not just about, when I was a kid growing up, if you had a hole in your tooth, you had the option to fill it or pull it out. There was nothing about your teeth looking good.
So this is the point, is I'm not saying what dentistry is doing wrong, as in they're not wrong for doing that. I'm saying what podiatry is doing wrong, not embracing that.
Well, they're not selling the importance.
Promoting the same thing, so that we actually get it more on a par with dentistry. So I had a patient in just recently who she'd had some castile orthotics. She'd had them for 12 years, and they'd broken, and she came into, I hadn't seen her, that was from somebody else. She came into me and I was talking to her about replacement orthotics, and I said the castile orthotics these days at my clinic £450, and she absolutely balked at the cost. And I said, how much are those things in your ears? She went, £3,000. I said, so you're balking at something that lasts 12 years, for your feet and kept you mobile for 12 years. You spend £3,000 probably per ear in order to make sure you can hear a bit better. And she couldn't understand that. What she was doing was completely devaluing her feet and her foot solutions compared to her hearing.
But that's an issue with the public. They're not educated enough about how important your feet are as well. It's not just a podiatry thing.
But who are the best people to educate the public about how important their feet are, how good podiatry is? We
Oh,
are.
yeah, I agree. Every podiatry clinic around the world looked like yours or my old clinic. When you look at these clinics, you go, geez, that's a nice looking clinic. If every
Yeah.
podiatry clinic around the world looked like that, then the respect level of podiatry would go up big time.
So the only people who can do that are the podiatrists.
Yeah.
So that's why hopefully those listening to this podcast are going to think, what can I do to push the profession forward? What can I do to protect the profession for the next generation of podiatrists and for the public going forwards? Because if we don't push it forwards, then it's not going to happen and it's all going to fail. It's all going to fall apart. And so we need to be moving forwards in the same way that you get a new car. You don't keep going with the old banger. You get a new phone. You don't keep going with the old phone. Let's get new podiatry. Let's not keep going with the old podiatry models.
So I think
That's really important.
yeah, I think it's where it needs to start though is what's already out there in the public, I think will be a generational thing to change. So the people who are currently at the moment working in dodgy little rooms, some of them might be working in really nice medical centers. So I'm not talking about you, but some of these are working in just the back of clinics where you look at it and you go, oh, it doesn't look professional. They don't have electronic benches, no good for their back. The lighting may not be the best. The ventilation isn't as good. There's the nail dust everywhere. But so I think generation, that's going to keep going for another 10, 15 years.
But there's a shortcut to that, Tyson. We don't have to wait 20 years, 40 years for that to happen. The shortcut is the podiatrist, take that caseload, go and approach a good clinic that's already set up and go and work for that good clinic that's got all the facilities.
But they won't do that.
And get a job doing it and then talk to the owner about maybe you could take over from that clinic in the future. Yeah, we don't have to wait generationally because we're just going to fall more behind. We've got to be more proactive. We've got to actually grab the bull by the horns and go for this if we want podiatry to thrive. And so my suggestion is don't do that anymore. Let's populate these good clinics with even more patients so they're employing more podiatrists. And somebody even in that clinic, if they are an appropriate business person, could take it over. Of course, everybody wants to think they can do business, but they just dabble in business. They don't really understand business. They haven't had good training in business. The reason why they get a successful business is because they give foot treatments away so cheaply.
There's a couple of issues here. One is there's certain podiatrists that go, oh, but I care more about my patients than money.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm here to say, no, you don't. Because if you really cared about your patient, you would be investing money back into your clinic and you would have a better clinic and you would have the toys to look after your patients better. So when people say, I care more about patients' money, biggest lie that they tell themselves. The other reason, there's certain podiatrists out there who will be doing dodgy sort of setups, who wouldn't go to a better clinic and work there because they're greedy and they're selfish. Oh, I don't want to go and work there because I might have to share some of my money. You go, but it's better for the patient. It's better for the profession. And the thing is, you'll probably make more money.
Exactly. They're not looking at the bigger picture, because they can't see actually it's going to give them better rewards in the long term rather than that short-term quick fix, that's only for them. You're absolutely right. It's
so my other thing is, I think the biggest change would come, and this may never happen, but the fastest change would be if the universities and the registration boards put their heads together and ranked podiatry clinics. Are you a 5-star clinic, 4-star, 3-star, almost like a Google ranking or like an Uber review? If you are a podiatry clinic and you're working at the back of a dodgy little setup, because I'm not talking about the ones that have got a nice clinic set up within a nicer medical center. The clinics we're talking about, and they give you a 1-star ranking because you don't have an autoclave. You don't have a chair that goes up and down. You don't have good lighting. You don't have good ventilation. And you're a 1-star clinic. Then when students are going to do placements, before you do a placement, you have the choice. Do you want to go to a 5-star and a 4-star clinic? Or do you want to go to a 1-star? So at least that way when you go there, and it should be on the door of their business that you are you have been ranked by the association, the registration board, and the universities as a 1-star clinic.
Yes, I think that's a great suggestion, Tyson. I know in the UK they did an accreditation scheme, or they do an accreditation scheme to say you're at the top of where you should be, as if you're a 4 or 5 star, really. But they do it on the basis the public are going to go, oh, they'll go to an accredited practice. And I don't think it works like that. I think you're
No, I don't
absolutely
think
right.
accreditation,
But
because
it's an internal system. Yes, the public can see it, but an internal system. Because if you're ranked as a 1 star clinic, you're going to go, what do I have to do to be 2 star?
yeah,
Or you accept that you're 1 star and you're only going to be that level, and the public see it as that. In the same way, a hotel rating system. If you go to a 3 star hotel, it's not going to be as good. The outcome's not being as good as going to a 5 star. Yeah,
yeah.
you understand that. So yeah, I like that. I like that as an option from a marketing perspective for both the podiatrists and for the public, and to change the profession. Yeah,
And I know some
good
people
idea.
would go, yeah, and they could have a 5 star clinic should have, and they say, what a 5 star clinic, no different to a 5 star hotel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you cannot drive your car in at the valet, pull up, get your bags out, you will never be a 5 star hotel. You can't,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
that's part of what makes a 5 star
yeah, yeah.
hotel.
Maybe we ought to start it. Maybe we ought to start a ranking system for clinics and
Yeah,
start
we
doing
just
some
put it online.
criteria
We'll
for
just go
them.
around to people's clinics. We'll just rank them online ourselves.
Yeah, yes. Get Podiatry Legends star rating.
Oh, geez, wouldn't that go? Oh, geez, they go down like a
That'd be
lead balloon,
fun.
wouldn't it? It'd be fun. It'd be fun
It'd
doing
be
it.
fun.
But
Yeah,
like, I know that there was a podiatrist in Cairns, and just a dodgy setup, just a
yeah,
dodgy setup. I used to look and go, it just does not reflect well on the profession. But I think if they said 5 star clinic, this is what he needs. 4 star, this is what it is. And the
yeah,
thing is, nothing wrong with a 4 star hotel. So
yeah,
there's
yeah,
nothing wrong with a 4 star podiatry clinic. And like you said, even if you're going to a 3 star hotel, sometimes I've stayed in 3 star hotels and I've been quite happy. Once I stayed in a
but
2 star hotel, didn't like it.
yeah.
I don't know why I chose it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And of course, it would be a bit of a balance against the rating system, review system like Google, and we've talked about that on a previous episode, how false that can be as well, because it'd be
Yeah.
far more set against proper criteria to say what you're starting. It's the
Shouldn't
same with the
be
hotel.
it shouldn't be one person's decision. I'd say, oh, that you are a 1 star or you're a 5 star. It should be,
Mm.
if you have this and
Yeah,
this, and
yeah,
you
yeah,
tick all those
yeah,
boxes, you are a
yeah,
5 star. So you send something into the registration board, whoever it is, and you
yeah,
go, here's proof that I have all
yeah,
these things, photographs, whatever it is,
yeah, yeah,
and bang, you get it. But
yeah, yeah.
there's a lot of podiatry clinics that do not have an autoclave on site. Don't
Mm.
have one, because they're working in multiple locations, and they
Yeah, yeah,
take
yeah.
all their instruments and they get them autoclaved in their laundry at home, because that's where you want to have your autoclave,
Mm.
in your laundry.
Mm.
Or I've seen things where the autoclave is set up in the kitchen of their clinic.
Yeah, yeah.
To me,
So
that's not a 5 star setup.
no, that's right. And this all feeds into us projecting the image of podiatry. This is really where we've got to get to, and get everybody on board, is to project the image of good podiatry out there. And what would you want to do as a receiver of that service? Or what would you want your parents to be like, again, or your children to be getting as a receiver of podiatry services? Would
Yeah.
you want them to be going to the 1 star, or would you want them to go to 5 star? And we've got to take away from all our biases and all our mindset blocks and put ourselves on the other side of it and think of it from the patient perspective. And we need to be communicating to that patient all the time. So for instance, as an example, we do ABPIs and TBPIs, and there's been a discussion in the forum this week about in UK podiatry about how much do you charge for this. So my fee structure isn't based on specifics like that. It's based on a range of things, whatever's needed within
Yeah.
the appointment. And I had one patient who walked away. He came in with cold blue toes, and he'd been to another podiatrist who just told him to wear special insoles, and he wanted to get a second opinion. So he came to me, and I ran through ABPI, TBPI. I was able to reassure him there wasn't anything to worry about, and give him some appropriate advice around it. And he got his bill of, I don't know, £180 or whatever, yeah. And then he kicked up a fuss. His wife kicked up a fuss to start with, because it was like 5 times more than the other podiatrist had charged him, yeah. And I'm going, but he's got the solutions and the answers and the reassurance. But you shouldn't be that much more. And I go, Why shouldn't I be that much more? Because I've done specialist tests. Oh, those tests aren't, I don't think we should pay that much for those tests. And when I worked it out, they'd actually paid £30 for the test when we actually looked at it. But I put into Google AI, how much is it to do an ABPI? Yeah, in the UK, how much it costs? And it came back and said prices for ABPI start from £395. That was at a vascular unit being done by a technician.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why are podiatrists giving it away for free? Why am I only charging £30 for it? Why aren't we going? Hold on, if you're in a vascular unit having an ABPI, you'd be charged 400 quid. Why
Well,
aren't we?
how much is a massage in the UK? If I had a sore back, a legit,
Yeah, I don't know.
massage. I don't want to know about any of the dodgy stuff, Jonathan.
No,
Just a legit massage.
I don't know. I haven't had one for a long time. I suppose for 50 quid. But if you go to a beauty place, yeah, a spa, beauty spa, then you may pay £100 for it.
Yeah. And that person could have no qualifications.
Yeah, I know.
They're just walking in and
yeah. So it's all about how we communicate this to our patients. So when we take in something that's really specialist, really knowledgeable, expensive bits of kit, and we give it for free, unless you show the patient that they're having 400 quid's worth of care for free, there's no gain anywhere for anybody. None other than the patient pocket. Yeah, because you haven't communicated to them that it's a surprise and delight. Oh, today we're going to do this for free for you. So they don't realize the value of it. Yeah, and you've devalued that skill and knowledge and that equipment you've got. That doesn't make any sense to me. I can't get my head around that, and it doesn't help us as a profession pushing forwards. And
I remember one of my events. Can't remember which one it was, and I said, "I'll put your hand up if you've done." Was it foot mobilization? Yeah. Everyone put the hand up. Put your hand up if you've done dry needling, and everyone put their hand up. And I go, okay, keep your hand up if you charge extra money for that service when someone comes in for the consultation. And nearly everyone's hand went down.
Yeah.
And I went, why are we doing the extra training? Why are we giving these services away for free? These should be persons come in for whatever your treatment is. And then these are add-on things that you can actually charge for.
And the thing is, they go to the dentist, they don't get it for free.
No.
They get charged for each of the things that they get. And I don't get why podiatrists think we're different. Why do we want to be different from dentistry? Dentistry is a successful business model. It's successful for the dental health of the nation. Why would we not want the same for the foot health of the nation and have a successful profession? I don't get it. So why don't we just emulate dentistry more? Why don't we look at that as a successful model and aim to be more like that, whereby we're actually getting the higher status, the better medical recognition, we're satisfying the patient's needs, either cosmetic or pain, we have commercial success, and we have more attractive career prospects. You look at the dentist and it's aspirational. Podiatry, and I've been fighting for years for it to become more aspirational. And these are the things that are going to really help overall. And so when somebody comes back with that negative thought, oh, we can't charge the same as dentists, it is just your mindset. Because I do, in my clinic, charge very similar to what my dentist charges next door. My FHP charges similar to what the dental hygienist charges next door.
Yeah, my brother used to say to me, I can't believe how much money you make. And I go, what? What are you talking about? He goes, I just didn't think podiatrists could make the sort of money that you make. So what you do if you charge correctly. Now, I'm now semi-retired and have been since I was 50.
Years.
And my brother is a dentist and he is still working hard. So if you set your business up the right way and you do the right thing and you learn, like what we're talking about now, there'll be certain people listening to this now and they'll go, you guys are assholes. I don't like you. I can't believe I've even listened this far. They probably turned off ages ago, actually.
But they still listen.
But they still listen because there's certain people that don't like us, but they want to know what we're going to say. But there'll be other people that be listening to this and they're going, yeah, they'll be agreeing with us 100%. And there'll be other people that I think the idea is to make them go, you know what? I don't know if I agree or not, but I'm open to the suggestion that maybe I can do things a little bit different. And what I'd love to also see is back at the university level is all the lecturers at the university level putting on their positive podiatry hats when they're talking to students. And if they have any negativity about the profession, private practice, certain practitioners, what people should or should not be charging, to just keep it to themselves and don't blurt out their negativity to students, because those students then take those sometimes just backward thinking into their career.
Yeah.
And they just think that's the norm when it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so important for us to get rid of those negative thoughts, to move forward quickly. I don't think we need to be taking a generation. I think we need to be doing it yesterday and pushing forward every single day to think what can serve the patient and the profession better, because ultimately that's going to serve you as a podiatrist. And there's no lose to this. I don't see any issue with it. I've never experienced any issue other than negative backlash from patients because it's not fitting in their preconceived ideas when I re-educate them. But that's their negative backlash. They can either absorb what the benefits are for them, or they can focus on what they're losing, so financially. But of course they'll go away and then they'll spend it on a holiday, or I'll have Costa coffee at least 3 times a day, or whatever it is. It's their choices where they spend their money.
I've had podiatrists who have reached out and said, "Oh, Tyson, I'd love to come to your podiatry marketing masterclass in Liverpool. But it's too much. I can't afford that." Again, seriously, you can't afford $495, not pounds. So let's say about 250 pounds or whatever, 245. I said, if you can't afford that, then you need to be there to figure out how to actually make that sort of money. And like Sarah, who was at this year's one. And she said, "Oh my God, I made so much money after I got back. I did this, I applied that, and my clinic has gone gangbusters ever since." So I'm thinking, if you have that attitude that you can't afford to invest in yourself, that attitude that you're carrying is probably what you're passing on to your patients as well.
Absolutely. And they also, it's that narrative that you tell yourself when you see an opportunity out there. And I'm absolutely bewildered by this in the world of podiatry. You see an opportunity and you talk yourself out of the opportunity before you've even got any information on the opportunity. So a lady posted this week again saying that she was relocating and wondered about getting a job in another practice. And I made the comment that there was a practice in their area that was recently for sale. And she said, and she came back and she said, "I had a look, but I can't afford that at the moment. As far as I know, there was no price tag on that practice that was for sale. The business owner may have allowed you to work in it and to take it over from the fees that are generated. But unless you have the conversation, then you don't know." And I'm looking at my exit. And I remember when I run this mail order, and I was looking at somebody else had started a mail order, and I said to them, "Look, maybe you ought to look at taking that over." And they went, "We can't afford it." And I went, "I haven't even said a price. I just want the service to continue." It's just crazy. But we get these negative rhetorics. We won't actually step out of comfort zone and go and have a conversation to get some more information, talk about possibilities. My clinic's just been valued, Tyson, and you don't see clinics in the UK at the value that mine's been officially valued at, unless they're multi-chair clinics. In the back of Podiatry Now magazine or online adverts, you'll see clinics selling for 20,000, 50,000. Rarely does it go over 100,000. So my clinic's just been officially valued at 400,000. Okay, I'm a single chair clinic and I only operate on 3 days a week. I'm not expecting somebody to suddenly have 400,000 that can just land on me. I've got to be open to discussions around how can it work? How will it work best for somebody to take it over? If nobody comes forward to have that discussion, then it's not going to happen. The sale's not going to work, but also they're missing out on a golden opportunity because within 2 years, that business pays for itself. And it's only 2 years of them actually working and not taking all the rewards that business offers to then get it in the future.
And I like how you only work 3 days a week too, which is good.
Yeah. So it's just, we've got to think of everything we project. When you're projecting your business is only worth 20,000, then we're going to hold back podiatry. You tell me a dental practice that sells for 20 or 50,000. It doesn't, does it?
But
half a million, million, whatever.
But when people are looking at podiatry as a profession, and this is what I don't think the profession sometimes understands, you'll have people finishing high school and they go, "Okay, I need to go and choose a profession." When they select dentistry, they know from day dot, I'm going to be a dentist and I'm going to make good money.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, if they were a student and they came to my clinic and they said, I'm going to be a podiatrist, they would have left thinking exactly the same thing. I am going to make good money.
Yeah.
But if they've gone to a 1 or 2 star podiatry clinic and they're looking at podiatry and they're going, I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. And I've seen over the last 30 years so many, like when I first graduated, nearly every podiatry clinic was an okay podiatry clinic. Like in today's standards, they wouldn't compare. But for the day, nearly every podiatry clinic was a pretty okay clinic. And as the time went on, there were always good clinics here. There were very few dodgy, like what I class dodgy operators. Now, every second medical center's got a podiatrist working at the back, half a day here, 2 days there, half a day over here, picking up their instruments, moving from one place, packing up their box of tricks, doing the juggling act through the reception to the next place. There's so many, they're everywhere now. So if I was a student coming through and that was all I was exposed to, I wouldn't be doing this job. I never would have done it. I would have gone and done something else.
That's right, because it's not aspirational. It's not what your dream is. Yeah, absolutely. And we're all concerned about the future of podiatry. Unless we get off our backsides and change our behaviours, then it's doomed. We need to be working everybody together within the profession to change the future of the profession. There's just no doubt in my mind that we've got to just pull together to do it. And it's really important. I had a podiatrist who came and spent some time with me recently, and he watched me, and I ended up having a day that brought in £3,800, no casted orthotics. And I messaged him the total at the end of the day, and he went, I am in awe of you. Yeah, and that's excellent. I'm thinking, I'm not doing anything different to what others are doing. It's what he would do in his practice. I'm just charging appropriately for it. I'm giving as much care. I'm doing the same job, but he's in awe of my ability to charge what I do. And I think all it's taken is for me to stop thinking about it from my perspective. Think of it from the patient perspective, not from their pocket perspective. I don't do that, because they have their choices where they spend their money. They have their choices about how much they earn and what job they go into and how much they spend on training or how much they invest in themselves or what risks they take. Those are their choices, yeah. But from the public perception for their health and the value of their feet, then I look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, and I think what we're talking about here applies to Australia. It applies to the UK, probably New Zealand. I'm not sure about Canada. Definitely not America. US podiatry over there, completely different.
Yeah.
Their level of professionalism is way over the top. I mean, they do not have a low opinion of themselves at all in any way.
No.
And that's what I love when I'm in America and I'm with a group of podiatrists over there.
Yeah.
I don't feel any lesser than them. They treat me exactly the same. When it comes to biomechanics, we are on par, if not better. We just don't do the surgical side of things as part of our normal training.
Yeah.
They chose to be podiatrists. They respect what they do, and they actually all lift each other.
Yeah.
They're very positive.
I think the major contributor to that is when you want to go to do your podiatry training, you're trained at this level. You're trained at a really good level, and you've got potential aspirations for ultrasound training, injection therapy training, prescribing, all these things, because you're being trained as that foot specialist. And you go out into the real world, and the first thing you do is pick up a pair of nail clippers.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the problem lies. And you don't feel like you've done a treatment unless you picked up a pair of nail clippers. I think that's a real, that takes away you feeling as good, as professional, as specialist, because you've just picked up a pair of nail clippers.
Yeah, I don't know. I never liked picking them up, but I did. But when I was talking to Dr. Patrick DeHere a couple of weeks back on the podcast, and he will be doing surgery on the foot, and he said he has no problems at all pick up a pair of clippers, cutting some old lady's toenails, because it makes her day, and it does not bother him in the slightest.
Yeah, I understand that, but what I'm saying is when you come out of college, you pick them up.
Yeah.
You don't go, I'm going to pick up the ultrasound scanner. You go, I'm going to pick up the nail clippers instead of pushing forwards as a profession. And I think that's where we're struggling. I do. I think the profession needs to be focusing more on foot specialism and to be like the dentist.
This was another thought I had a few years ago.
Okay.
And I'm throwing them all out. They may as well throw out one more. In a podiatry in Australia is 4 years. I think you should, and especially because I said there's a shortage at the moment. I think at the end of 2 years, you should be allowed to leave if you choose to, and you are a podiatry assistant or you're a chiropodist, whatever term they want to use, because I know chiropody is still used in Canada, so that wouldn't be the appropriate term, because guys in Canada are really freaking good.
Yeah.
But at the end of 2 years, you're given all the certain training, and you can do all general foot care work, and you can do everything, but you don't do sports, don't do biomechanics, don't do orthotics, don't do surgery, because there's a lot of people, that's all they want to do. So I'm thinking, why not just let them leave at the end of 2 years, and they get but they have to work for a podiatrist, who has a 4 or 5 star, and but then if you choose, no, I want to go on and be a podiatrist, then you do the sports, the biomechanics, and all that. So when you graduate, you're spending majority of your time in the areas that you want to do, because that's why you went on for the extra 2 years. If you chose you didn't want to, you could have left at the end of 2 years, and you get a job doing routine foot care.
Absolutely. And equally do routine foot care. But the point that I make sure is that the patients understand that I do much more than foot care. It is doing all of the stuff around feet, not just doing their foot care. So it's not doing the 2 year training, it's doing the 5 year training.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So the podiatrist who's done the 4 years can still do routine foot care, because when I had my clinic, I would do routine foot care on a patient. And while I was doing it, instead of talking about baking cakes, I would be talking about why the hard skin was there, why that corn developed in that spot, just as part of polite conversation, trying to educate them. Then when they wanted to reappoint, to book back in with me, the only way you could book back in with me is if you had a biomechanical assessment, because I only did routine foot care on patients that actually cared about their feet. Those that just wanted them trimmed every 6 to 8 weeks and didn't give a rat's about it, you can go book it. You can go and see one of the other people that work with me. And therefore, my patients that I had, a number of them, they still did routine foot care on, and they may have only ever done that assessment. They may never have got orthotics, but at least they cared enough to want to know a little bit more.
I know it's a good way, because actually you're engaging then with the patients who potentially can help to change your business, or yourself or the profession, just by being more interested in feet. The other thing I think it comes down to is that marketing. Dentists don't market routine checkups. So why do podiatrists market routine foot care?
I know. They all know we do
market the specialist stuff. You'll still attract the foot care, but market the specialist stuff, like dentists market the specialist stuff, because then you're the message going out to the public is podiatrist is foot specialism. The minute you market on foot, I don't market foot care at all. I still get lots of foot care patients.
We never used to either.
When I see them, I say, oh, great, you've been assessed now. You've seen that you're suitable to go and see our foot health practitioner, whose fees are cheaper. You have a choice who you want to see. If it's new patients, I'm tending more now to say, no, you go to the foot health practitioner. But existing patients, I'll say to them, you've got a choice. You can go and see them cheaper, or you can carry on with me. And they have that choice financially then. But my marketing is all around foot specialism, not around foot care.
I don't think I ever didn't add or any marketing at all towards routine foot care. And I know that my clinic, at the time of selling it, was probably like 70-30 to routine foot care to MSK and biomechanics and orthotics, because that was all we ever promoted. So to me, it didn't have to promote routine foot care. But there are clinics there that they don't like biomechanics, they don't understand biomechanics, they don't do orthotics. So that's the only thing they do promote is routine foot care. But they should be asking patients, hey, do you know you've got this happening? If you don't, if they don't want to do it, they should refer them on.
Go and refer it on, which brings it back to the original discussion we said about stop trying to hold on to the patients and pass them on. If you haven't got all the tools in your toolbox to help them to the best, should be caring about our patients enough to let go of them when we can't service them properly.
Okay, I'm looking at the time. I think we've annoyed enough people.
Not the dentists. The dentists love us now.
Yes, it's one of those things, like you said. This is something that people talk about all the time. I go to conferences, people talk about it. Anyway, if anyone's got this far through the podcast and we've upset them that much, they're never going to change anyway. But I think even if a few percent of people that listen to this episode go, you know what, maybe I can do a little bit better. Do I really want to be, what if they do bring in a star ranking? Where am I going to be?
Yeah.
Do you want to be the 2-star podiatry clinic, or do you want to be at least 3-star, or can you go up to a 4-star? And I think if every podiatry clinic knew this is what a 5-star one looks like, this is what a 4-star, this is what a 3-star, this is what a 2-star, this is what a 1-star looks like. In fact, you're going to get deregistered because you shouldn't be a 1-star. But if people knew that and they go, okay, so if I want to be a 4-star, this is what I need to do next. And they can work on that. And if someone is a 4-star clinic, they go, so this is what I need to do. It's almost like your Michelin star restaurants.
Yeah.
And it's, actually, I don't mind the idea of this star system.
Yeah, maybe we've started something there.
I'll
tell you what, get your listeners to message in if they like the idea of a star rating system. And maybe we could take it further.
If we all pushed, as a group, we said, let's start a star system on podiatry clinics. I think if you got the right podiatry brains in a room together and said, we're going to come up with a star system from 1 to 5 on what is, and it's not saying if you are a 1-star clinic, then you're a 1-star clinic. It is what it is. But if you got some heads together and said, this is what it is, and you actually pushed it out there and said, this is what we believe, where do you sit?
I'm gonna make it even easier for you, Tyson.
Yeah.
In the days of AI now, you can get all that done, and you just have to check that it was validated with human opinion or human's opinion. Yeah, the AI would generate it all for us, and then they just have to run it past some key people. They wouldn't have to be in the room coming up with it. The AI would do it for you. Yeah,
and then you can run around the UK in your retirement, Jonathan, with stars and just go stick them on people's doors around their clinic.
It'd be like the hotel inspector. You have the hotel inspector in Australia.
Probably.
So they're basically undercover guests, who are just going to assess an establishment in the same way like when the Michelin star person is coming. They don't say they're the Michelin star, do they? They have to work out who it is.
I think they know I think they know they're coming. They just don't know who it is. I have seen movies when it's on.
Period or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, Jonathan. I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you for coming back on here. Thank you for upsetting some of my listeners. I think I said
you were the controversial one today.
I know. I did say a few things, but when we did that episode a few back, when we did the book review, the Let Them theory, and from that book, the thing I took away from that book review or book debate was, if you have an opinion on something or you think something, just say it. Just say it. How people react to that is how they're going to react to it. Yeah. And since we did that one, I started realizing, a few times on the podcast, I am just saying what I think. And if people don't like it, they don't have to listen to the podcast. No. They don't have to come to any of my events. They don't have to use me for business coaching. They can go talk to somebody else. It's all good.
Most likely they'll just go on the keyboard on the internet and be a keyboard warrior against you wherever, and stand up with their head above the parapet and actually voice their thoughts and their opinions properly.
That's true. Okay, Jonathan, I look forward to talking to you again very soon. And I'll just let people know, as we're recording this, it is Jonathan's birthday today. So this won't get released for another week or so. So happy birthday, Jonathan. Hope you have a fantastic day today. And if everybody listening to this, you could feel free to sing happy birthday in the car while you're driving. That would be great. Jonathan will feel the vibes. So, Jonathan, thanks for coming back on.
Great to be here again. Thank you, Tyson.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
So, as I wrap up this episode, I want to leave you with one final thought. Dentistry didn't achieve its reputation by accident. Yes, they've had a lot of years head start on us, but dentists committed to positioning themselves as specialists, investing in professional clinics, and charging fees that reflect their expertise. Podiatry has the same potential, but only if we stop underselling ourselves. Feet aren't optional. They're the foundation of how we live our lives. You can manage without teeth, But without feet, life changes dramatically. Yet too often, podiatry is seen as a low-level service rather than a profession of true specialists. It's time to change that. Whether it's through investing in better clinics, charging appropriately for the advanced skills that we have, or even adopting a star rating, as we mentioned, to raise standards across the board. We all have a role to play in lifting podiatry. This isn't about making life harder. It's about making the profession stronger, more respected, and more rewarding for future generations. The changes we make now won't just affect us. They'll shape the opportunities for students, new graduates, and every podiatrist who comes after us. So ask yourself, if your clinic were ranked today, how many stars do you think it would get? And more importantly, what could you do tomorrow to make it just 1 star better? Think about that. Anyway, thanks again for tuning into this episode. If you enjoyed it, please share it with your podiatry friends, unless you don't have any. And that way we can keep this conversation going. And remember, the future of podiatry is in our hands. Not just yours, it's in our hands. It's in everybody's hands. Okay, that's it for me this week. I want you to look after yourself, look after your family, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye for now.